Hey guys, welcome to The Father I Never Had. In this video, we're going to talk about money, okay? But more important, why learn about money and all the other words that come with it. You're talking about business, assets, finance, taxes, all of it. What's the real reason for really learning about money and business, right? The real reason is time, okay? So I've got here why watch this video, because you want to learn about, most people want to learn about money or want to know how money works, how to get some. But this is the important part. This is the reason why you learn anything about personal finance, money, accounting, anything to do with the things that affect your life, and money touches all of them, okay? So I've got here control and kill. There's an idea of controlling people, or why not just kill them off? Well, there's no point in killing a person or a people. There's no point in killing a whole bunch of. There's no point in killing a whole bunch of people, right? Because then you got no one to control. So we're going to wipe that out. All right. So really, this is the key reason. Right? This is the key reason why we delve into these topics. You know, you can watch a whole bunch of successful people in business. Watch those videos, by all means. One reason why I think these videos are, relevant, besides it being true and coming from a genuine perspective and a real eagerness to help, is because not everyone in this game is meant to win at least the same level, right? And there's levels to succeeding and being happy and being free. And when we're talking about success financially, most people think about, right, financial. But success itself, it's to do with the health of everything, the health of your actual physical health, the health of your mind, mentally, spiritually, not having truth. That means you're living a life of lies, And so the videos that I will do is going to be completely different from the ones that you would see in most other channels, because I like to delve into the nitty-gritty of the systems, the way things really work. Yeah. And yes, a lot of the information that I have is built on a lot of the concepts of a lot of other people, but most of those people aren't the ones who are highly ranked in social media, YouTube as well, right? So a lot of these are so-called conspiratorial type people, okay? So it does come from a different perspective, but I hope to relay this information in a entertaining way, but more so in a way that really connects with your soul, okay? So making money is actually not hard. Understanding the game and how to leverage and all that type of stuff, when you really understand it, you will battle between just making money and making it the right way, so to speak, or the more, the way that aligns more with your spirit. You talk about ethics and morals and whatnot, so there's a bunch of ways you can make money, a bunch of ways, but not every way you would probably like to make that money. Just put it this way, right? Let's just say another COVID event was going to happen, another lockdown was going to happen, and you knew what was going to happen because there were a bunch of people that bloody did, right? Anyways, let's just say that you knew what was going to happen, the whole process, all right? And let's just say that you knew that masks were going to be a thing and sanitizers were going to be a thing to sell, right? And then vaccines were going to be a thing to sell, right? Out of all of those three, at least, maybe I would have done masks and sanitizers, but I would never do the vaccines, right? I'll never be promoting and pushing those, yeah? And that's for another time. We'll talk about the details as to why and what I know about it, right? But the other two, it doesn't play with me because people will buy what they're going to buy. People wear them anyways for medical reasons, for health reasons, clean your hands and whatever. But I don't see an issue with selling those. But more a case of, you know, whether people buy in excess, people are going to buy them anyways. So you're talking about an opportunity, right? Okay. I've got heavy opinions on that whole lockdown period, right? I fought that whole period. Okay. So again, another time we'll delve into it, but just for short mention here in this video, you know, I held my business up. I worked around the rules, the so-called rules that people took as law, okay? And I understood what was happening. So I operated. I didn't let anyone stop me on the roads or in anyone's business to, you know, ask for my, you know, vaccine passport. Hell no. You didn't have to do any of that bullshit. I read the Biosecurity Act 2015. I think it's like 718 pages. Yeah, I read the whole thing. So I knew the regulations and the laws and the rules that were being implemented. I knew I could smell the whole thing, right? And so I still ran my business while other people went down. And it was tough though. It was very tough. Okay, all the industries were stagnant. Everyone kind of knew what happened, right? Especially those in Melbourne. It was a shit period. A lot of people were shit. Okay. A lot of people were, you know, trying to promote the bloody fucking poisons. And I feel sorry for a lot of these people. I feel sorry for a lot of people who actually took these poisons. Okay. So I feel sorry for you if you took it. Okay. But nevertheless, hopefully you're well and healthy while watching this video, at least at this point in time. And there are things that you could probably do. Chelation is probably one of these things, but educating your mind is the first thing. And that's the reason why you watch these videos or similar channels, you know, try and open your mind, because that's the first thing that got taken. That's the first thing that fails. That's the first thing that is detached from you, is your mind. Okay. So you need to get your mind back. You need to get your own soul in control. You need to be in control of your own soul. You need to know that you have the ultimate power to say yes and no. You have the power to stop outsourcing all your wisdom, you know. Stop being not critical. Start being critical again. Ask why. Why do I have to pay this? Why do I have to do this? Who says, or what happens if I don't? You know. So you need to just kind of question things. Question your reality. Question why you do what you do. You know, one of my shticks is, you know, my parents left an island, you know, Samoa. They left that island for another island called Aotearoa, New Zealand, okay, to so-called work, and then to try and get a house, and then come to Australia for a better opportunity, leverage, right? And then, again, try and get a house and build wealth, and when we fucking had it in the beginning. We had land, we had a home, lands, we had food everywhere. And we come here and bust our balls off to these two countries for what? To get the same? Right? There's it's been mentioned a couple of times on different channels, and I really like the story, right? I'm going to butcher it, but you get the idea, and that's the main thing. So basically, it's an idea of a fisherman, right? He's fishing, he can do everything he wants, right? He gets all the fish he wants, if he can get more fish, you know, if he wants, but he gets the amount of fish that he needs. And then a business guy comes across, right? And he looks at the opportunity and goes, oh man, you're so good at fishing, you know, you should get more. You should get more fish. You know, if you do all these things I can help you with, then we can grow your business, you know, we can make it into a business and get more fish. And basically it goes back and forth a few times, right? The story goes that the fisherman says, and then what? That's pretty much his response, right? And the business guy basically says the same thing. What do you mean and what? And then you can grow the business even more and then expand and employ more people and then, you know, get more fish. And he's like, the fisherman is like, then what? It goes back and forward, right? And the business guy's talking about growth and then he gets perplexed, like, what do you mean? Like, don't you get it? And it's like, then what? It's like, and then you can, you know, you can grow the business so big that you can eventually do what you want. But you get the point of the story, right? The guy was already able to do what he wanted in the beginning anyways, right? So that there kind of leads us into talking about this whole bunch of topics, right? I can just point at one word, and it's very hard to just talk about one word and then there you go. When you get holistic, which is a lot about what I talk about, the holistic approach to your life and how you operate, how you do things, even as a father, how I teach my kids, how I operate my household, right? How I operate as an employee, if I run a business, and how I'm doing things now differently than how I was approaching it when I was seen as a business guy. The last 15 years I've been really delving into business. 15 plus years, but I can say 25 years or whatever, right? But especially the last 15 years, I really knuckled down in terms of learning this game of how to be successful. And I really wanted to, I still do, right? Want to make a whole bunch of money, right? And a lot of my personal motivation is because I realized, so I have 5 kids, right? And my oldest son, he's vaccine injured, right? I'm not scared to say it anymore because this is bullshit, right? I tell you what, I used to say it to a whole bunch of friends and family, and there's nothing against these friends and family, right? This channel is not for those people as well. Anyway, it's for these friends and family, right? So I would mention to a whole bunch of people that my son's vaccine injured, and most people just had this look, and I could tell they don't believe me, right? But I know that a lot of us are injured in many ways. It doesn't have to be autism. It doesn't have to be cancer. There's a whole bunch of ways that they control us, right? Who's they? Come on. Everyone knows that that's a hard question to answer, so don't have to go there. The key thing is, if you're really interested, is to delve into the clues, the things that people say coincidence, yeah? When you add up so many things and you realize so many dot points, it's like, coincidence, come on, yeah? You start to see the patterns, you start to see the signs, you start to see the symbology, you start to see the connections, don't just follow the money. A lot of these channels say, follow the money. Yeah, follow the money is one thing, but everyone doesn't care to delve into all the finances, and it's really about holistically understanding things. Now, this is not about, hey, let's rally up to control the world, take out. No, it's not about our as in collective. It's eventually that's the goal, but really the goal is your home. We only have control of self, number one, and to a degree everyone else around us in our home. And as a father, right, our purpose should be to look after the people that we bring into this world, yeah, and the people that buy into our love and our personality and ourselves, which is our partners. They call it a business partner for a reason, right? And everything we do in this realm is pretty much based on money language, yeah, commerce, yeah, contract law. Yeah, these are different types of systems that we operate with. And if you understand even a fraction of it, it starts to open up your mind as to how you operate a little bit different. A lot of what I'm talking about is relevant because you're talking about, let's say you got, obviously everyone here, has kids. This is the reason why, or you're thinking of having, right? And you like this channel for those reasons, right? But you're talking about how do we raise our kids the best, to give them the best options, to make them the best that they can be, to be the healthiest, the wisest, the fastest, the strongest, most successful that they can be. How can we help them do that? Because we can't force it. We can't say, oh, my genes will. No. Okay, like genes aside, it's their environment. Okay, the things that influence them. Okay, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around. You are what you eat. And if you delve into a guy named Bruce Lipton, right? And you look at his studies, this guy is the godfather of epigenetics, okay? You start to really understand what he actually did. Yeah, it's actually a simple experiments that he done, and he relays it really well. So go watch Bruce Lipton's work. He's not the be all end all of anything, of everything. But when it came to epigenetics, he's the one that kind of led the concepts that a lot of us now buy into, right? And that were dismissed during I think it was the late 70s or the 80s at least, right? And throughout the 90s or whatever, right? But he was a professor and then ostracized and whatnot from universities because he proved the whole, what is it? I can't remember, the genome. It was like a big study that they did to prove that genes dictated your success and how you're going to be, you know. And I think even at that time, they were kind of implying that African people had small brains, and you know, it's unfortunate because it's from their ancestors and their, you know, like a whole bunch of bullshit and lies that they taught us. Yeah, we know that's not true, you know. Brown fellas and black fellas and yellow fellas and any other shapes and sizes and colors, you know, we can do just as good as anyone else, right? Right? But there's a bunch of lies that need to be understood, right? And when you understand that, you remove it, okay? Educating yourself is not just putting in, yeah? You can't just mix a whole bunch of water, clean water, into a dirty bowl, into a dirty cup. You got dirty water. Okay, so part of educating yourself, right, is taking out. But to take out, you need to have this idea that maybe this cup that you have is not so healthy. And you need to question the cup that you have and all that's in it. Yeah? From there, remove everything. That's the best way. Start again. Don't assume you know what you know is correct. Don't assume that you know more than others. Don't assume that what you have is truth. Yeah? Understand the difference between belief and truth. Yeah? Okay? A lot of what I would say as well, either through this video or other videos, is probably going to really play with a lot of people. It's going to offend a lot of what I want to say is going to offend a lot of religious people. Okay, and this is the problem with people who are religious. Okay, if you call yourself religious, okay, just before you do, you know, start to get your emotions tampered with, all right, just hear me out. Okay, do you call yourself religious or spiritual? Okay, because spiritual doesn't need a religion, because then, you know, doesn't need this one, that doesn't need all of them. Doesn't need any of them. Spiritual is just spiritual. But religion kind of requires some spirituality, right? So what I would suggest and ask of you is to be open-minded. Be open-minded about your spirituality and go, hang on, do I have this shit right? Okay, maybe I just need to listen. And not just to me, listen to yourself, your inner self. Yourself that hasn't spoken for a long time. Because most of the shit that you talk about, and I was one of them, right? And this is not to down any religion specifically or people or anything. It's not to do with that. It's about yourself, you. Okay, it's about ourselves. About, you know, why has life been not so great? Why did we struggle here? Why did we not do good? You know, why are we not, you know, why are we in the position we are? You know, but if you feel an ounce of like drive and like passion, and you've got something more than where you've been placed at birth, like, you got to question that shit. Yeah. You know, my disabled son, I always question, like, why is he disabled? You know? So I delved into the science and I found the reasons. So my so-called beliefs are no longer beliefs, they are knowing. Because I know, because I've read into the science. Yeah? I've read into the science, and I've also experimented. I've experimented through health, yeah, by improving his health. Unfortunately, and this is at my, you know, I feel sorry for my son because I can't get him back on this protocol. So I put him on a health protocol, right? And I'll leave it at that. And he went from not being able to speak properly, right? Put a few sentences together and conversate. He couldn't conversate properly, right? And then when we improved his foods, he went from not being able to and getting so anxious, and, you know, every birthday party we had to take him to his nana because he couldn't, or we would take him with us because Nana wasn't available, right? Or we'd have him there and it'll be a hard time. Or I'll take him to the car and then me and Tanya will tag team and, you know, just go, all right, your turn, whatever. Just so we can hang out with our other kids and our loved ones, right? Right? But I experimented. Science, okay? When you conduct these things yourself, you start to see the results, good and bad. But you need to take control. You need to get back into control, into the driver's seat. You need to get back in control, okay? Because this is part of the problem. Most of us aren't in control of ourselves, right? At many levels, okay? All right, so anyways, time, this is close to money. So everything we talk about money is actually, you should always refer it back to time. You know, no point in spending all your life trying to build so-called wealth financially. And it takes you your 70 years and then you end up dying from ill health because you didn't look after yourself. You didn't have the right things in place to look after your body or your teeth or your whatever. Okay, like you just struggle and you suffer. That's not a good life, is it? It's a life that was lived. Was it lived the best way? No. All right. Now that person may have worked their way through and then died, but then had kids that benefited from the wealth. Okay. You know, it depends how you want to look at it. Is that what you wanted? For many, especially old school people, they'll probably be proud of that. So it's not wrong, that idea. It's just a knowing, as long as you know and understand. But when you realize there are a bunch of people that are connected to whoever, the controllers of this world, right? And they get to bypass all of that. They get all of that, right? Just by, first of all, knowing truth and then being connected with the right players in the game, right? So, anyways, the way I just wanted to mention that the way we're controlled is through a whole bunch of systems, okay? This is not an exhaustive system. This is just, a whole bunch of, sorry, I just want to check. Make sure it's recording. Yep. So we've got the education system, we've got the financial money system, and I've got their tax, and we can mention a whole bunch of other things that are connected to the financial money system, you know, tax, what else? So inflation, a whole bunch of things, right? Superannuation, GST, there's taxes upon taxes upon taxes, right? But the main things that's taxed is your starting with your education. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're doing it. But you get taught why you're doing it. You just get kept busy. There's a reason why. There's a reason why it's called business. Now, I've been a fan of business, a promoter of business. But not that I've just learned it, I've understood it for a long time, but the key thing is to understand business because it's part of the game. I'm not going to hate it now because of the negative sides, the negative impacts on it. It takes your time. It keeps you, the key word here, keeps you busy. And these things aren't by accident. See, I actually, I don't know when this video is going to, how this video is going to be connected, but I've had another video, right? I haven't launched it yet, but where I talk about how to know anything or how to learn, right? Because that's actually one of the key topics as well, which I done a video on it. Wasn't quite happy with that video, but I'll probably still put it out. Anyways, and it was more because it's a lot to put together in a way that goes ABC, 1, 2, 3, yep, I get it. Awesome video. Because this is not just about entertainment. This is actually not about entertainment, right? This is really about helping people to open their minds, right? So in this one here, I talk about numbers and words and whatnot, But when you connect the words, you talk about etymology, okay? And you start talking about things like astrology and whatever. So in this video, I spoke about astrology because we're talking about numbers and a lot of things like maths, formulas, solving problems, identifying opportunities, cycles. The word cycles comes from the word circles, circles, and circles comes from the Latin word, and then the Latin word derived from the Greek word siklos or kiklos or something like that. It all kind of derived from you're looking at etymology or the root languages, the root meaning of words, which in reality the system operates on the root meanings of words. Okay, whatever it says is actually what it says, but a lot of times it's inverted. So what we're seeing is what we think we've been taught to read. Okay, but it actually implies something else, or our lack of understanding pushes us to fail to understand what's actually going on. Okay, and so even with this astrology part, I mentioned an example, right? If you don't know, the days of the week, right, Monday to Sunday, are all astrological. Yeah. Now other people can say, what's the anyways, it's all astrological. I kind of think I was going to say it's all astrological. Yeah. So Monday is in Spanish, and Spanish really derives from the root languages of Latin and Greek and whatever other languages, right? English is another example. English is a makeup of all those languages, Latin and Greek and whatever. Sorry, what I was meant to say is English is a mixture of a bunch of languages like Latin and Greek and a whole bunch of other languages, right? French even and whatever. That's where a lot of the English words come from. Okay, but even in Spanish, what I was trying to say is, in Spanish, Monday is lunes, which is the moon, luna. Okay, Tuesday is martes, Mars. Okay, Wednesday is miércoles, which is Mercury. Yeah, Mercury. Thursday is jueves or Jupiter. Okay, Friday is viernes or Venus. Saturday is sábado or Saturn, or what some people will say is sábado is Sabbat or Sabach, I think is, or Sabbath, which is Sabbath, right? Yeah, for those who are of the Christian beliefs system, the Abrahamic religions, but yeah, you need to understand that this is the Sabbath, the Saturday, and Sunday is, and I could be wrong. Look, all of this here, I could be wrong. Okay, this is for you to question everything, not just question me. Question yourself, question the system that you fall in and under. Okay, the things you have to do. You don't have to work for me. You don't have to do things for me. You got to do things for someone else, right? And so that they can give you a piece of the pie. Yeah? So you have to question those things, the systems you live under. Okay? And final, we've got the last thing here is Sunday, which is in Spanish, they say domingo. I personally believe that that's where they changed it as well, intentionally, in Spanish at least, because in Latin, it's actually solis. Okay? I'm not saying that Sunday is, but the sun, because why do you think it's called Sunday? Because it's the day of the fucking sun. Yeah? It's Sunday. It's the day of the sun. Okay? And we're all, with this here, it's talking about the luminaries, the things that are in the sky. Okay? All right. So the day of the sun, I personally believe that it should have been called solis, or, Spanish people say sol as in S-O-L. But solis, I think, is in Latin, is the sun. Okay? And yeah, there's a bunch of words, even the word stella. Stella means in Latin star. Okay? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of words that once you start focusing on the etymology and the root meanings of words, you start to see more connections. And then you start to see the real meanings of what they are. And then you understand a whole bunch of prefixes and suffixes and stuff like that. Now, English was one of my weakest subjects in high school, but I realize now that even the English that they taught us to focus on, yes, it would have been good to learn as well, but there's a deeper understanding of language, not just English, of language. and you know, once you really delve into, you know, one of the things I mentioned in the other video was that, you know, in normal public school, we learn English and we learn a whole bunch of other languages like Spanish, whatever. But all the elitist schools, some of the private schools, they learn things like Latin, yeah? And there's, you know, I think it depends on where you go. If you take a political career, a legal career, I think it really helps with it. But there's reasons, because all the real words, the real meaning, contract law, right? Not just contract law, but just, yeah, a whole bunch of, you know, the words that we use is super important, okay? All right, anyways, I won't delve into that too far. I'll go back to this here, all right, which is basically where we left off. We're talking about the education system, financial, right? You've got the political system, legal, medical, and food system. And again, there's probably more. We can segment it as much as we want, but you get the drift. And the whole point of this is to kind of get the drift. And then, you know, my goal is to have some engagement from you guys and build this channel so that I can start focusing on the questions that you guys have. A lot of the things that I'll be doing is actually doing a whole bunch of research. There's a whole bunch of channels that I watch, right? Even in the crypto space. And all the guys do is they research a bunch of things and then they just relay it to their followers, right? And I'll be doing pretty much no different, okay? Except, you know, because I might mention some crypto stuff, but I would personally rather just give you the quick answers or things that I think are the things to look out for or the things to leverage or to invest in. Okay, Stellar is one of them. That's why I mentioned it before. Okay, so but okay, and this is, you know, look, this channel, I don't like to self-sabotage anymore, right? But and I do wish this channel grows to hundreds and thousands and potentially millions, but I almost don't believe that it would really happen. We've got about 13 now, and just because I've mentioned it to a few people, the algorithm hasn't pushed it anywhere. I know that. I've probably got 2 or 3 genuine subscribers, and it may not grow any further. Maybe the algorithms doesn't want to push it. I don't know, right? As I know, I've watched a lot of people who have real truth and good information, and their channels don't grow. And then a bunch of other people on the sideline, they grow, right? But you know, whoever watches this, whoever subscribes to the channel, I really do believe that these things will help you. Okay, now, if you want to just make money, just go watch Alex Hormozi, go watch Patrick Bet-David, and maybe even start with Jim Rohn. These are the type of people that I've kind of watched a lot of their content, right? Jim Rohn's passed a while ago, but he's one of the people that I found the information was received really well. It's fun to listen to him if you haven't listened to him. And there's a whole bunch of other guys. People watch Mr. Beast, but why the fuck do you think he's called Mr. Beast? You know, it takes their mind more of this control, this mind control. Okay. There's a whole bunch of TikToks now and you know, Insta Shorts or whatever they're called, right? Where a lot of people are seeing things on topics like the money system and vaccines. So that's why it's okay for me to mention these things, because a whole bunch of channels that are mentioning them, and you know, yeah, these people are getting a lot of views and whatnot. So you can watch all those for those topics. What I'm hoping to do is take a more holistic approach, because most of them focus on one thing, crypto, or even just one type of crypto, a coin or whatever. You know, some people niche into one thing, right? But, you know, you can talk about vaccines or whatever. It's all big bunch of rabbit holes to jump into, right? And the reason why I can speak on this and why I'm confident enough to even stand in front of a camera, create a bloody channel, is because I feel like I've been doing this for, I feel like nearly 20 years, right? But let's just say 15 years at least. A lot of it really stemmed from my son who's got disabilities. I really start to question, you know, why. But then, yeah, once you delve into one, you go into another and go into another, and you realize, fuck, the place we live in is quite interesting. Okay, it's quite interesting. It's really not what I thought it was, and all the shit that I thought I knew, out the window. out the window, right? A lot of the stuff that I know and or I thought I knew and read and whatever, it's still good to have known it, because now I have a reference point and I can compare and reconcile things, right? I can actually conduct more, be more, methodical in my approach, because I have a reference point, okay? But the goal is to use science. The goal is to test things, verify things, right? Check it out, okay? Actually study it. Now, I know that a lot of you guys and everyone lacks the time to do the study because we all have to go and make some money, right? And then we need to sleep, right? We lack time, okay? But that's actually part of why we are controlled. Most of us are controlled, okay? Most of us are controlled. I'm not here to try and free you, okay? This is for you to buy into whoever you watch on any platform, yeah? And you're basically outsourcing your attention. So if I can get any of your attentions, it should make you happy. Not worrying about if it makes me happy. It should make you happy that you found this channel, you got a bit of knowledge from here, okay? So I'm hoping that this channel will do that for many people, okay? I hope you're one of them. Anyways, this is why this channel is important. So why watch this channel? Why watch this video? Because of all this and the stuff I showed you on the other side. But for this same reason is why you watch this channel, why you subscribe to the channel, because I want to keep creating these videos. I'll just add on to that. So like I said, right, this channel, I don't believe is going to be growing and going viral and go tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. I don't believe so. One reason is because most people aren't willing, right? Most people are, what's the word? Instant gratification. Most people are seeking things with instant gratification. They need things to be fast. And to solve problems and to really have control of self and to really realize your intention, the purpose of being here on this earth is to, really delve into things holistically, which takes a bit of time. But to get your time back, you need to spend a bit of time or invest a bit of time to really have control so that you understand how these things influence your emotions, your day-to-day, your relationships. One thing I've hated is I've got a whole bunch of family, and maybe you do too. Heaps of family. But most of them are disconnected. A lot of them are disconnected. There's a lot of fractures in between. There's a lot of problems in between. Division. Now, if it doesn't sound like anything familiar to you, for me, that sounds like a war, right? That sounds like the strategies in simple for winning a war. And I'm not talking about side A and side B and B wins or A wins. The point is, it's none of the people who are named in the game. They're the winners. The system itself, the system operators, the system owners, right? The lord of this game. Yeah? The domini of this game. Yeah? The realm we live in. All right? So there's a whole bunch of topics and we will slowly delve into a bunch of them, okay? But I hope this gives you a good start and we'll go into the next bunch of videos. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.